Hi, this is Steve Gregg.
And Pam Lathrop.
And this is the New Year's edition.
Happy New Year. We should have our noisemakers.
Our first show of 2010. I remember all this stuff about Y2K when we turned over to 2000. Now it's 10 years later. It's amazing how fast that time has gone.
It did go very fast.
And our computers still work the next day and everything,
yeah,
right?
Nothing happened. Everything was great.
Good. Well, we've got a kind of a, maybe we'll call it a looking forward, looking backward show today. We've got, I'm going to talk to Jim Van Bogart, City Council President, a little bit about 2010, what he sees ahead, but also, some of the accomplishments of 2009, 29.
And then we are both going to go over and meet with Deb Fredrickson, the new Convention Visitors Bureau Director, and Martha's replacement. So we're going to go see what Deb has to say and introduce her to our audience.
Good. Well, because, we did kind of say goodbye to Martha on the last show, and today we'll say hello to Deb, huh?
Yes, yes.
Well, and maybe she can give us some ideas of some fun things to do, because the day we're filming this, it's kind of a snowy day, and it's one of those days where you think, I'm not going outside, but yet there's always something to do, isn't there?
It'll be a great day for a sleigh ride, or snowshoeing, or cross-country skiing.
Or snow blowing, or snow shoveling, or whatever.
Yeah,
so
something fun.
All right. Well, Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
And why don't we get 2010 started with, let's see what Jim Van Bogart has to say.
When you look at the cost that the city would have to pay for borrowing money with a lower bond rating versus the cost it will have to pay with this higher bond rating, it's a tremendous thing. And it's a tremendous thing that the rating agencies took a look at our financial situation, took a look at our situation generally, and decided that we were, in fact, still worthy of, I think it was an A+ rating, which isn't the highest, but it's right up near the top end of the scale. So that was a wonderful thing. I think that happened in the first quarter or so of the year. Other highlights certainly included the opening of the new library, a tremendous facility that the community is using at a far greater rate than they used the old one. And it's there, and it's a reuse of a good space, and it's a wonderful addition to our community. And I would encourage people to continue to explore it, use it, and take their children and their own activities there. Mm-hmm. I recall one weekend in July, I think it was, on one weekend we did, I think, 4 outstanding different events. There was a rededication of the old library facility. There was an open house at the Cary facility out on Millington Road. There was the dedication of Turtle Island 2, mm-hmm. and there was the opening ceremony or dedication of the Fairbanks Flats.
Which I think Jim Caldwell, the Indianapolis Colts coach, who's a Beloit native, I think he was there. Remember that? I think
I was out of town on that day, but it was just and those are culminations of all kinds of work over a number of years, obviously. But if you look at it, you think, my goodness sakes, in a down economy, in a tough time, we had all 4 of those things going on mm-hmm. on one weekend. It was tremendous. Other things that we looked at and did for the year, of course, was the tremendous effort to deal with the budget. Mm-hmm. As you're aware, certainly, and I think many people ought to be aware, city revenues are what I would describe as a lagging indicator in any economy. So much of our income is based on the property tax. The property tax is collected at the end of a year based on values from the year before, mm-hmm. essentially. And so when you're in an economic downturn, which we obviously have been, your city revenues lag that. We started into this a year and a half ago or so. city revenues held up last year, and this year they were looking at being down. And as you're aware, certainly our income and our revenue sources were down from our various investments that we had. Our health care bill was up 1.1 or $1.2 million. We started out the budget process $2.6 million in the hole, and we had to try and balance it. Again, as you're aware, we used a combination of tremendous cooperation by the local unions. We eliminated 4 full-time positions with the city. There was some increase in fees and some increase in the tax levy. There was an increase, or rather a diminution, in some of the collection services, rather. So those things all came together to result in a balanced budget. And there was a tremendous amount of work by the administration, by the council, certainly a lot of communication and cooperation by all those other individuals and unions, and, well, I forgot the early retirement of a number of people, to make that come together. I know there's a lot of media attention and focus on, oh, you raised our taxes. Well, that was true, and that was one component of about 5 that went into that balancing the budget. And I don't know, I guess this is my personal view. Municipal government and county government, and to a degree the school district, we're all at the tail end of the taxing dog. And we can't inflate the money. We can't borrow the money from the world community, the Chinese or the Arabs or whomever. We can't mortgage your children's future in that sense. We don't have a lot of control over the unfunded mandates that come our way. One of the things we're going to be struggling with next year is what to do about a water standards requirement for stormwater runoff. And the mandates have come down from the EPA through Madison to us, saying you got to get stuff and particulates and chemicals out of your stormwater, and you got to do it, but there's no money that we're giving you, but you got to do it. Yeah. So we're going to have to struggle with how to meet those mandates.
I think an example in the last budget cycle was we had an increase in the tipping fees at the landfills that the state imposed, and of course there was no additional funds for that.
Right.
So
right.
You're right. There's things like that every year.
Well, and we're at the tail end. We have to balance the budget. In the city, we're 60% dependent on state revenues or shared revenues, rather, from other sources, not just on our taxing dollar. So when those revenues are flat or going down, as they have been for 10 years, demand for services at the same level and or going up, it's a real crunch. And so to try, and I don't see it getting any better anytime soon. But so those were some of the things. One thing I thought of, to mention in this show was at the end of the year there was this incident or series of instances over at Countryside Apartments, and I don't know if there's a hard figure or a hard number of individuals who were affected, but it was in the 30s to 40s, right, perhaps maybe 50 families roughly. And we can argue about all the different, how it got to be at that point, but the thing I wanted to focus on was the tremendous response by the Beloit community to the plight of those individuals. You had individual businesses donating food. You had churches, Central Christian Church, I think, was one of them, opening their facility to people. You had a whole, almost a social service response system that sprang into being within a day or two to meet the needs of these displaced people. And I don't know that those services were ever even used or necessary. They found friends or family or acquaintances to live with or move in with. But it was, to me, indicative of a very, very caring community that, on almost no notice, came forward and was willing to help their fellow citizens. And I was very impressed with that. You talk about looking forward. Certainly, the indications we get from the media are that we have passed through the bottom of this recession and things will be getting better slowly. Not a lot of comfort if you're one of the ones who's lost a job and can't find one, but hopefully that will impact our area, and we have maintained ourselves with our food service industry employment and with some of the other ones that have remained relatively stable. Hopefully they will stay that way and or increase, and some of these other things will come back online. As far as city projects, again, I think you're aware of a number of them, but we'll be putting the finishing touches on the long-awaited transit station.
Yep.
People will recall that the station was initially, the transfer station was initially at the old Beloit Mall. Then for the last several years, it's been downtown on Broad Street. And finally now we have the pieces in place, and construction is proceeding on the transfer station down near the City Hall. That whole River Bend project is another thing that's come to almost completion here this fall and will certainly be done in the spring. The old coal gasification plant had been replaced by the water treatment plant, which is now gone, and Gale's Auto is gone, and that whole area is opened up. A nice street near the river is there, and hopefully it will become a site for future development, either commercial or retail or a mix of that and residential, but it's set to go, and that's a project that is there. Obviously, the completion of the Gateway project is halfway done, or some substantial way done, but should be finished this next summer. And then we'll be redoing Riverside Drive from approximately Woodard or Pleasant to Henry Avenue.
Yep.
And that will be quite an improvement and an enhancement. For those of us who drive on it, it's in pretty rough shape right now.
It is.
But that will be coming online as a project. Obviously be very disruptive while it's being done, but once it is done, it will be quite an enhancement to that portion of the city.
I think a lot of people remember Park Avenue being redone, or some of the downtown streets, all in the last 10 or 15 years. And you're right, it's a bit of an inconvenience, but boy, it's sure nice when it's done.
It's nice when it's done, and you'll recall that there was some obviously planning involved with the redoing of the approaches to the Henry Avenue Bridge. That was staged last summer, and now this spring and summer we'll do the second part of that, and the bridge will be available for one of the alternate routes, obviously. So those are some of the things that are coming forward with the city.
If you had to describe your feeling kind of looking ahead, I know, maybe the economy's going to turn around.
Cautiously optimistic.
Yep.
I think one of the things that I'm going to be thinking about, and I think I will mention this again as I did last year in my State of the City address, I think that the fiscal pressures that the city is under is an opportunity. It's also an opportunity for our neighbors, town of Turtle, town of Beloit, to a degree perhaps even South Beloit. We're all under the same pressures. The expectation of the citizenry is for a level of services up here. Their willingness to pay for those services is down here. And that squeeze is very difficult to deal with. One of the few ways that I think exist out of this morass is for people to merge services and provide services in a joint fashion rather than having, my bugaboo has been for years, you can go from downtown Beloit to downtown Janesville, 15 miles away, and if you're speeding, you can be arrested by 6 different police agencies. And that's crazy. But think about it. City of Beloit, town of Turtle, Rock County, State Patrol, and the city of Janesville in 15 miles. And they all have chiefs and cars and maintenance contracts and radios and telephones and garages and on and on. And at some point, the willingness of the citizens collectively to pay for this duplicate level of services is going to end. And I think that as local politicians, we have to keep the doors open to cooperation on delivery of services issues with our neighbors. That's one of the few, maybe only ways out of this pressure cooker that we're under. You're aware of it. Our operating budget is 60% from other sources. Of that money that we receive, we spend 70 or 80% of it on personnel. And those personnel costs are just going through the roof when you add in the health care, health care, salaries, retirement, on and on and on. And I don't know how much longer the citizens collectively are willing to pay for this, what I would describe as duplicate level of services. If you were to start over again and redo delivery of services by government to the citizens, you wouldn't set up a system like we have now. It's an accident. It's a development of history. But I would argue that with computers and faxes and televisions and on and on and on, and all the various personal electronic devices that we have, that government is a lagging service in terms of modernizing itself. The business world is doing it all over the place, and I think government has to think in those terms as well. Yeah. And I know that this raises the flag, oh, local control and local. Well, that's fine, but if you want that, you're going to have to start to pay for it. And it's going to start to get to be real expensive. And if that's the choice that people want to make, okay, but I think there is a different way to look at it.
Yeah. So. All right. Well, and it's, on one hand, there's sort of very day-to-day kind of things, picking up trash, protecting citizens, plowing snow, appropriate today to talk about. But you're right, the whole issue of consolidation could be a much longer process, but I think that's a perfect example of something that could have a dramatic difference for years to come.
I think it would, or could. I think it would have to come from the state. I think the state would have to offer a series of incentives and carrots and sticks, if you would. If you merge your services, you get $100,000 more. If you don't, you lose $100,000. So a decision by the Beloit City Council to do that, or the town of Beloit, or whomever it might be, ends up being a $200,000 decision rather than let's maintain the status quo for another generation. Right. And a good point to do that every time there's a changeover with the chief might be a starting point. Right. But anyway, that's just a thought I've had over the years.
Those are some good thoughts to start the new year with. That you've set the bar pretty high already for things to accomplish. But that's okay. We like challenges.
The 4 city councilor incumbents apparently learned yesterday that there'll be 4 of us on the ballot for the 4 vacant seats. And I don't know what that means necessarily, but you'll probably have me around for another couple of years anyway.
Good. Well, most importantly, we'll have you around for, I think it'll be January 19th for the State of the City address. So
there you go.
We'll look forward to that, and thanks for taking a few minutes here to give us kind of a sneak preview.
Well, it's a snowy day, and I got my snowman tie on, so we're set.
Well, people know this isn't the July show, that's for
right.
sure.
That's right.
Okay, well, the next stop on the show is we're going to head over to visit Beloit, and we're going to meet the new director, Deb Frederickson, and kind of introduce her to the community. So again, another new thing for 2010.
There you go.
Well, we wanted to end the show with our usual segment on what's going to be happening in Beloit this month, but this month we can't just turn it over to Martha because Martha's retired, but it gives us an opportunity to welcome Deb Frederickson to Beloit, the new director of Visit Beloit, and that's Pam, so by process of elimination, this is Deb. Deb, welcome.
Well, thank you. I'm really happy to be back in the Beloit area. I haven't been living around here for about 19 years, and I did live here around 6.5 years, and the changes within that time are just incredible, and I'm thrilled to be a part of it and to take what Martha has done and move further with it and take all her accomplishments and the Visit Beloit, and there's incredible things happening, and I'm so excited.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm sure just can you give us, like in 2 seconds, the where you were before you came to Beloit and maybe what attracted you to this job?
Where I was before is I was in Illinois, in one of the suburbs called Plainfield, Illinois, and I've worked in downtown development and downtown management for too many years than I want to mention because then it'd give away my age. And but I've worked with tourism, and I've worked with economic development, and it's and special events, and it's in my blood, and it's a field that I have passion and find great pleasure in doing. And the Beloit area has always been what I considered home. I've kept my friends and relationships still very current around here, and I found myself spending more time up here than back at my own home. So I made the decision that I really should probably save gas and just move up here. And then this opportunity became available, and with my my connections in Northern Illinois, it landed on somebody's desk that Martha was retiring. And so I took the opportunity to send my resume in, and here I am, and I'm so excited.
Well, that's just wonderful. Now, you know, one thing is you're kind of on board here in the middle of winter, which isn't the big, you know, summer festival season, but I'm sure you've been pretty busy already in the first couple days?
It's been incredibly busy. First of all, just meeting everybody and learning who everybody is. And no, I won't take a test yet on it. But as anybody knows that has done events and been part of events, it's an ongoing. This is actually a very busy time. There's a lot to be done before actual summer events begin. So actually we're in the process of planning and gearing up and getting ready for those things.
Well, one of the things that Martha traditionally did, right, was kind of tell us what was coming up in the month. And I know that at least in January, there's at least something going on in Beloit, right?
Well, of course. Of course we're going to have something going on. And of course, you know, I couldn't start a job without having an event right at my doorstep. So we've got Winterfest coming up, and that's going to be January 29th through the 31st, and it's going to be as incredible as ever. And there's going to be the Family Indoor Carnival on Saturday from 11 to 3, and there's going to be games and movie and inflatables and all kinds of great family fun. And there's going to be all kinds of things that are going on throughout the Friday through the Sunday. There's going to be just some of the highlights, a chili cook-off. There's going to be, I believe it's new this year, snow golf. That should be really interesting, okay?
I might improve my game.
You know what they are saying? Anybody can play. You don't have to be really good at golf, which is a good thing. And and there's going to be ice skating and stargazing at the observatory and movie nights, and there's all kinds of things that that just go on throughout Beloit on a regular basis too. It's really amazing, all the things that happen here. The schedule of events in this community is incredible.
Well, and that means that I'm sure that along with planning Winterfest, then you'll probably turn your attention to whatever's next, Beloit International Film Festival and all those other things. So you're right, it just keeps coming, doesn't it? Well, one of the things that we want to invite you to do is on all of our shows, as I mentioned, Martha always took a few minutes at the end like this to kind of promote the events that were coming on. So we hope that you'll be willing to do that, and it's another way to let citizens and residents of the greater Beloit area know what's going on. So hopefully you'll come back, and anytime there's something really special that you want to maybe promote even bigger. Now, Martha, I think, Pam, help me, she once was in a boat somewhere, or what did we, Martha went all sorts of interesting places to promote events, didn't she?
Well, Martha probably sat in a paddle boat, so did we. Martha sat on Santa's throne. She was over at Suds with green beer, I think, possibly. Probably not drinking it, but it was, you know, a prop.
So just so you know, you can be real, we have some latitude here.
I like creativity.
Good. Well, Deb, thanks for taking a few minutes here to introduce yourself to the community and for letting us know what's going on. And we look forward to having you on each show in the future.
Thank you, and I look forward to it. And I would be more than happy to every month, and even more often if you'd like me to update and tell you what's going on.
Great. Okay, thank you. Kind of hoping this would be like sort of the movie sets where you stand in front of it and you're projected, and so that people all of a sudden think we're standing outside on a beautiful summer day in downtown Beloit.
Like the green screen or the blue screen.
Yeah. So here we are. It's sunny and there's green trees, but not really, in fact, when we look out the window.
Well, it's just a little snowy, but it's January, so that's to be expected. It's
Well,
okay.
This kind of gives us a flavor for what it'll look like. So, well, anyway, that was pretty exciting as far as the New Year show. I think, you know, Jim kind of looking ahead. We met Deb. She's got Winterfest already organized and planned.
Yeah, and without the snow outside, we'd have no Winterfest. So I'm kind of looking forward to the sleigh rides, and, you know, there's the volleyball tournament and lots of things going on for Winterfest.
The winter golf thing, I don't quite understand that, but given my golf game, that's okay.
You have to bring one club and hit a tennis ball.
Oh, okay. I could maybe,
A big Bertha club.
well, maybe I can do that. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, you had a couple things you wanted to pass on?
Well, it's a new year, so I figured people are starting out with, New Year's resolutions, and perhaps that would involve a little volunteerism. So I would encourage people to contact us and volunteer for a city committee, commission, or board. We have plenty of openings. The openings are listed on the city's website, which is www.ci.beloit.wi.us. So if you could look that up or give us a call at 364-6614, we'd be glad to send you an application.
Yeah, winter months, volunteer some time, help the city.
Yeah, perfect.
Sounds good. Well, we might as well start planning the February show.
Oh, there's lots going on in February, too. Biff is coming up.
Okay, well, we'll get ready for that. So I guess for January and for Beloit Today, this has been Steve Gregg.
And Pam Lathrop.
Have a good month.